welcome your host, Maria Teresa. I am a celestial shaman, a master of soulmate frequencies. I am a mother, a sister, a daughter. I am a woman walking this journey of life in truth, guided by the power of love. And I'm very excited to share my journey. I believe I am here to help heal humanity one heart at a time through shamanic healing, through poetry, and through channeled light language. I would love to introduce my co host. He is a dear friend of mine, an intuitive healer, a coach, a guide. We are both galactic ambassadors, and his name is Mr. Christopher Mark. Hi.
Hey, how are
Well, hello, my dear listeners. We are in episode 8 of Maria Teresa's Emotional Musings podcast. And in this one, we are going to talk about one of the most healing, most profound, deeply connected relationships that I've ever experienced. I'd like to say hello to my co host.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, I know these last couple episodes has been kind of like, whoa. But I also know that you guys are going to see a deeper side to Maria on this one. So yeah, let's jump right into it.
Okay,
You ready?
I'm ready.
Right.
I have a lot to share. So, yeah, I've had a very emotional day. And I just want people listening to know that I a lot of this is coming from the ending of this 8 month odyssey of healing. And so there's just like, it's the emotion of ending, of letting go, of moving on, and talking about this relationship has always been difficult for me. So there's going to be a lot of emotion in my voice.
So how did you guys meet?
Well, we met through my last relationship, the one that we just spoke about, um, the one that, yeah, was featured in episode 7. He was introduced to me as somebody also highly regarded in recovery. He has a stellar reputation in South Florida for recovery. And that's how we were introduced. And so I met him right pretty much at the same time that I met my ex. And so we've known each other since 2013, and he always remained somebody in my life who was a friend, who was always there to help me, to guide me, to listen to me. He's rescued me literally on more than one occasion, and we were friends for 10 years before it developed into a romantic relationship. He was somebody I always admired, I looked up to. I always thought he was like too good for me. And that's the truth. It took me a long time to heal before I could see um, the totality of our connection and what he was really doing in my life.
Um, what would you say was like before you connected? Uh, what was it that drew you in?
His kindness, his generosity. He's like one of the best people that I know. And he's always been, and I've told him this, so it's like he's aware of this, but he's always been like a father figure in my life. He's a lot like my dad.
Do you in your connection with him, did you learn slowly learn things about yourself through just through the friendship before it became a relationship?
Um, I would say that I definitely learned more when our relationship became intimate and personal because
Mm,
he's a very private person, extremely
mm,
private. And And he's a very deep person, but you've gotta get in. You've gotta have an in. And so being like how busy he is and how stretched he was for quite some time with like always helping people. I mean, this is a man who has saved hundreds and not thousands of lives. Um, from alcohol and drugs. And so he's just always been very busy. And our relationship, for a long time I was in other places. I wasn't in Florida. He lives in Florida. So it wasn't until we actually connected on a romantic level that I really got to learn so much about myself. And that's really what it was. I consider our connection a twin flame relationship, which for anybody out there is one of the most difficult relationships to navigate, because we are very, very similar, but we are also very, very different. And it's the navigating of those two of like, you could either, I used to say this all the time, like we could burn each other to the ground, or like one of us can take the high road and just learn the dance, you know? Yeah, very
Yeah.
triggering. A lot of triggering things within this relationship, which was beautiful
Yeah.
for me because um about I'd say like after I mean we're gonna go through this like step by step, but there was one point in it where my spiritual team kept really impressing upon me how much I needed to hold space in terms of compassion, patience, and acceptance for everything that was happening. And I was told that like our ascension paths were very different. So that's what I learned. That's what I learned through this relationship. And, like ultimately every relationship prepares you for the next, for, your evolution. And that's definitely what this was.
What would you say um, that you gave to him in your connection?
I'd like to think I brought some laughter into his life because I'm pretty silly as I'm saying it, like crying. Just, just myself, just my realness, my caring, my giving. I've known this man for a long time, so I know what he's experienced, and he has experienced a lot of like shitty things from women, and I think that I'm very different. I'm very caring. I'm very attentive. I'm very loving. I'm very giving, and so I think that that's what I brought into the relationship.
Did you feel like at any point did you feel like you either weren't doing enough or did you feel like you were doing too much?
No, I don't feel like that. I feel
Okay.
like everything happened exactly the way that it was meant to happen.
Okay.
Um, we were both very clear mirrors for each other, very clear mirrors for each other. And he has a lot of non-verbal communication. Um, I mean, communication was like one of it was a sticky point. Um, so no, I feel like I did all that I could.
Now, in your relationship, what would you say was the the similarities and the differences?
The similarities. Well, we're both very spiritual. We're both very sensitive. We're both Cancer risings, so that was that was beautiful. We both love animals. I mean, this man owns a canine company, and so I was living with him and his six German shepherds. Well, five of them to begin with, and then we acquired another one um, within the pack. They were a family of dogs, a mom, a dad, and their puppies. And so we very much bonded over the dogs because we have such a love for them. And to be clear, this was a very strong past life connection. We've spent all lifetimes together in this faded way of like almost coming together, and then something happens. Usually I die. Sometimes he dies, but mostly I die. And the dogs were a part of that as well. They were they were our dogs in our most recent past life. And so when you have that level of connection with somebody, a lot of things are just so intuitive and so telepathic and just kind of flow together. Like I remember pretty early on, like I'd say less than 6 months, I had a friend visit me. Um, and she stayed with us for a few days and she's like, wow, you guys are like a well-oiled machine. And we just kind of laughed because like, we just know each other really well. So we just blended really well. He likes music and he likes to go out to eat and he likes, like good things and like he had an amazing style about him. So that was something that, we can bond over. Um, Unfortunately, he's been through a lot of like physical things that affected his balance and his hearing. So he's very hard of hearing. Um, so like being in loud places or music in general was kind of tough for him. I'd always have to make sure I was on like a certain side for him to actually hear me. And he reads lips. And so a lot of times, like, it was like a comedy of errors, like what he was saying or what I was saying, what he was interpreting I was saying. Cause a lot of times it was like wrong, which was like funny. Uh, so yeah, I mean, we're both very God-centered people. We're both very strong in recovery. I mean, this is a man who has 39 years of recovery. So when you've been through, severe drug and alcohol addiction, and then you come out of it, that's something that like somebody else like it just naturally gets because they've been there, and we would talk about like our war stories with each other. And I used to always say like, we definitely met at the time we did because if we met in addiction, we would be dead. We would have died together. Like, just the way that both of us are very intense people, very intense, very deep, very passionate. He's also a writer. So there's all of that.
At what point did you um, learn something about yourself that you didn't know?
Mm, gosh. Um, well, honestly, I think a lot of things really didn't come to light until it was over. Um, this relationship was like literally 2 years to the day. Like I moved in July 26th of 23 and I moved out July 26th of 25. And it really took me to sit in a lot of reflection afterwards when we were away from each other for me to see um to really see things in myself that like I'm I don't let people go easily and I will give my all like even to my detriment, because he was, to be clear, like he was the one who knew that things had to end, that I was like ready to move on to something bigger and grander and more aligned for me. Because like I had asked him this question before I even moved in. I said, are you ready to be with a shaman? And the answer to that essentially is no, he wasn't. He's 15 years older than me. So he was very set in his ways. And he said that to me. Like, I'm stubborn, Maria, and I'm not gonna change. And I think that like there were a lot of things that he said that I don't think I really heard until much later. And it was like, okay, you know what? Like you put all that up front and I just wasn't willing to accept it.
Do you? I mean, this is important. I think it's very key. Like, do you find that once you kind of lock in on relationships, that your focus is on the idea of the relationship instead of the person?
Well, I am idealistic. Yeah, that is one of the things in, having a Venus placement in Sagittarius. Yeah. I am pretty idealistic. Um, because I want that, you know? Like and he he showed me a lot of things like up front. I think we both did the best that we could, based on who we are and the timing of everything. Um, so I don't know that I'd say like it was totally that, because he's an amazing person. Um, so, and he even said to me, like, I've never let anyone as close to me as you. So I just think that everything has divine timing.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I mean, I think it's, I think sometimes like you, this is very common, like when you're in a relationship, especially when you're in a relationship with someone that you built a deep connection with, the struggle usually is trying to understand, like, to look at what it is and what it's not. And then but also, you don't want to ignore the possibilities.
Well,
And
there you
because
go. There you go. I
connection,
mean, just that is the culmination of this relationship, because there
yeah,
was infinite possibilities to it. And I know like what both of our intentions were going into it. And there were certain circumstances that occurred where he received downloads before I did. And then I didn't want to accept what he was spiritually being guided to do, because it hurt. It hurt both of us. I think it still does to this day, which is why it brings up so much emotion in me. Even though like I do accept it and I really understand, it's still just sad. And both of those things can exist.
yeah, they can. Because I think a lot of times, like and this happens, um, the part where you're torn majority of the time is usually because you're on a spiritual journey, understanding yourself and then connecting with another person. And then it's always like, okay, do we evolve together? Or is this something where this connection was designed to help us become better versions of ourselves within this timeline or within this life?
Yes, that one.
And I was
That one, Marcus.
like,
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. And like for me, I mean, and he knows this, like we intended for this to be a forever thing. And I think like 6 months into it, it became very obvious to both of us that that wasn't going to be that. It was him preparing me for this, for what I'm doing now, for you and I, for what's truly meant for me. And I had to go through that. I had to, to be clear, like this man provided me such a life. He One of the things he said to me, he's like, I am here to show you how somebody should be treated, because he treated me like gold, like absolute gold. And at first, I'll tell you, for the first like 5 or 6 months, it was very hard for me to receive all of the things that he was giving me and providing for me, and just our home in general. I mean, all of the love there. It was overwhelming as fuck for me, because it wasn't just him. It's the dogs included. And so like there's going to be a poem that I'm going to share which is entwined with all of them, because that is how I feel them. It was very hard to separate just him and them. It's all of them together, because that was the level of love that I was being given. So it was so overwhelming for me, because I've never been I mean I'd say the closest relationship that this could maybe relate to would be my ex-husband. Um, but the one in between, the one that I just came out of, was like stripped everything from me. It didn't give me, yeah, it just didn't. Um, so yeah, this was me receiving a lot, um, of stability, of like physical safety and stability. That's what our home provided for me, because I had an office, and I was able to like just, practice my craft and work with clients and really evolve within my shamanism. Um, And, I was able to join this beautiful yoga community that I got very involved in, and I was sharing my poetry there, and it was just lovely, and I had these awesome dogs around me, and one of them in particular is like, I can't even like really refer to him because I'll just start crying. Um, my best friend, my best friend. So it wasn't just a relationship with one person. It was a relationship with 7 souls all together. I actually think
What
this is
was
a
it?
good. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Wow.
think this is actually a good time for me to share one of these poems because I
Oh
have
yeah,
four. I have
good.
I have
Good.
4 of them.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, okay. That's yeah, okay. So we need time for these. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
we
Go
we
ahead.
need time to interject the poems within the story.
I got you.
So, I'm gonna start with this one. It's called Twin Flame. Inside my shell, cocooned by self love, departing its confinement as I take flight above, opening my wings as a butterfly to new heights, releasing years of painful weight, searching for you by the pale moonlight. Colors bleed together, creating one beautiful timeline, meant to reach stratospheric dimensions, catapulting into realms of mystic perception. Drawn to one another like a moth to a flame, following you for a millennia, calling out your name, reunited by soul once and for all, drunk on bonded energies, absent alcohol, holistically medicinal, euphoric magnetism, blessed and baptized, determined to define love's pragmaticism, eternally bonded by our twin flame union. And that was how I felt in the beginning of us really coming together. It was it was overwhelming to my nervous system. I mean, even my teacher at the time, she's like, I was concerned that it was destabilizing for you because I mean, the amount of energy between us, the downloads that I received about us, me trying to, I would always say to him, like, I feel like I was trying to catch up to what he had realized upon our very first meeting. Like he knew exactly who I was from the time I said, like, hi, my name's Maria. It was like for him, everything clicked because he knew who I was. Um, he, he'd been hearing my name for years before that, like 20 some odd years, he said. So, this was very destined to happen. And it just took me a while to kind of catch up to it. So when I first moved in, I was constantly being, receiving guidance, putting pieces together. Every interaction with us was like bringing me past life regressions. Like, I mean, my goodness, it was very overwhelming. Plus, I'm coming into living with like a whole bunch of dogs. Like it was a lot on my nervous system, coming into all of it. Um, yeah, so it was overwhelming. It really was in a beautiful way, but also just overwhelming.
Was it I mean, because I can understand that. I think it's like when you it's the overwhelming feeling of a deep bond and a connection with someone, and I think it's more of allowing this person into the parts of you that you've kind of built walls around. Um,
Well, yeah,
and then it's
because I'd never really spoken besides my teacher to anybody about my spiritual information. And like to be
right,
clear, that was also something that was kind of our undoing because he didn't want to talk about a lot of that stuff. And, you know, I think that me being an open channel and channeling the way that I do was overwhelming for him. Like, I want to be clear on that. As much as there were things that were overwhelming for me, there were definitely things that were overwhelming for him. And a lot of it too is that he just didn't have time for our relationship because of the way his work schedule is and the way like his own demands. So there just wasn't a lot of time, which just became a bummer. It was a real bummer. So that's ultimately like there was a lot of coming together, but then there was like a long goodbye, I think things between us were really awesome for like 6 months and then incredibly challenging for like a year and a half. And that's the reality of it, and there's two very distinct, moments that happened. One was me having a sensory episode that I think scared the absolute daylights out of him. Because he feels me so deeply. And he had said to me, like, Maria, whenever you're crying, I feel like I'm dying. Like when you are upset, I want to die. And so it was very hard on his heart, and he had a heart condition. So that was very difficult for him. And when that happened, we were actually in a car trip coming back from New Jersey, driving back to Florida. And I'm having this like total episode, and he just like didn't even know what to do. Um, and I was just, crying and sobbing, and basically like I leave my body and then I pop back in. So it's very hard on it was hard on both of us. And after that happened, I feel like nothing was really the same. So that was like early February of 24. And then he suffered a massive heart attack the end of April, beginning of May, right before his birthday in 24. And it was a widowmaker heart attack. So 90% of his arteries were clogged, and he literally like survived death. I mean, that like both of his parents have passed that same way from heart attacks. So after the heart attack was when everything really changed. And I even said to him, I'm like, you're leaving me. Like you're pulling away from me. And um I had come to find out months after that, my guides told me that he received an information that he was to let me go, and we were not going to be together forever. And I think it was just really hard to receive that information, but everything changed after those two episodes, after my episode and after his heart attack. Everything changed. And so um yeah, I'm at this point I'm gonna share the second poem. It's called The Knowing of the Unknowns. Drowning, begging, pleading, fighting. The ending is how the beginning will feel, only allowing the heart to reveal. A love born into two bodies, one soul. Years flash by in what we consider to be lifetimes, accumulating stories with lessons to build upon, one running into the next, and so forth and so on, and on and on. The tingling remembrance of our times together. Resentment built over timelines is forgotten never. Watching from a distance and longing to tell truths that only you and I knew so well. We clearly know who we are to one another by feeling. Every time we come back, one of us chooses to unknow healing. Energetically entwined, attraction rewinds, pushing and pulling away from the other until the knowing kicks in. Now is the time for divinely guided ascension, leaning into the unknowns, the mystery we choose to solve in each life. Reincarnation of twin flames dares and smashes away wrongs and rights. Everything is love, unconditional in nature. The stories and prayers of the ascended masters, wondering how it will all play out in the end. Two hearts, one soul to transcend into the unknowns of the abyss forever and again.
Are you going through a spiritual awakening or already a seasoned veteran in your spiritual journey? Do you feel like you have gifts and you're just not sure of how to use them or adjust to having them in this world? I am here to help you on your path to enlightenment. I offer spiritual coaching and shamanic guidance. I am Maria Teresa. I am a celestial shaman and master of soul light frequencies. I would love to guide you to your soul. Enlighten in shadow, always with love. Namaste.
Yeah, I wrote a lot of poems when I was with him. I wrote I wrote a crap ton of poems when I was with him. And to be clear, in 24, not only were these two very monumental moments that happened to us personally, but in 24 was when I was very much guided to start leaning into my galactic nature. And that was when you and I started connecting. So like there was just a lot going on like a wide scale, on like a very grand scale. Um, and then in 25 was when everything, like literally from the beginning of 25, everything just started to burn and break. And, you know, not only this relationship, but like I was guided to leave my yoga community that I loved. That was like so devastating to me. And I was also guided away from my teacher. So those were two hugely impactful things. And he also like broke, you know, broke down to me in early January and started like basically told me like it's time for you to leave. Like your light is so bright and you're ready to move on, and like you're gonna have all these things, Maria, but it's just not gonna happen with me. And I just refused to receive it. I was like, hell no. Like what the fuck? And then it was that phone call from my friend that led me to Connecticut. That happened in March. So like, here we are, January, he tells me, the relationship is over basically, and I don't receive it. February, March, I have this falling out with my teacher and my yoga studio. And then March, my friend who I haven't talked to in 4 years calls me. So I held on and things got progressively worse between us. And it wasn't until actually a year ago, right at this time, because I had come out to Utah for my nephew's wedding, because my older sister lives here. And I spent 10 days here. And I told my best friend, I said, everything's going to change when I get back from Utah. I just know it. And sure enough, the day I got home, which was the 30th of June, so we're coming up on this 1 year, I said, he told me the truth of everything, um, about his own personal stuff with his business and just our relationship in general. He's like, it's over. And so, yeah.
You know, I think what it is that sometimes people, they realize, it's kind of like what you talked about before about, evolving,
Mm-hmm.
how important that is when it comes to um, anyone really dealing with you, because it's more about whether they are either they're in that space to evolve, um, or what happens is that slowly it starts to the energy starts to dismantle people's lives.
Yes.
And because to reveal a lot of things to them. And a lot of times, what happens is that for people who build a sense of stability in their life, um, they don't want to do it. They don't want to say, okay, how can I?
Well, because it becomes risky.
Well, it
It's the,
is
it's
risky.
the, it's the, it's the unknown versus the known. The like,
Yeah.
hey, and this is also somebody who, like, to be clear, this man is a self-made man. He's come from nothing and built a multi-million dollar company himself. Like, he has really done a lot. And he's also like, before all of this, like lost and gained a lot. So we shared that as well. We've shared like traumas that we've both been through that are very similar. We've shared losing things, divorces, money, assets, like all of those things. And so it's like, I get it, and for someone like me, like I am, again, my best friend had said to me at one point, like, your path's kind of lonely. And I was like, yeah, it is. It is,
Hmm.
because not everybody is going to be able to fit into it. And very few people really can, because you have to be on this ever evolving cycle. Something else that I didn't mention that very much needs mentioning is, our mama dog, Sasha. Uh, I actually detected her cancer right before Christmas. I had to tell him that I felt a lump in her throat. And that was devastating to both of us, because she ended up passing actually on his birthday, which was when he came home and told me. I fell to the floor. I like collapsed, because we just were devastated. We loved her so much. Um, She was such a good mom. And so like we went through her getting cancer and then leaving the house. And so I didn't even get to say like goodbye to her. Um, she went to go live with the trainer and then we had to deal with the dogs, like her babies being without her and her mate going on without her. It was just I'm telling you, my house was very sad. There was a lot changing and a lot shifting. And there was just this underlying current of grief with all of us that was just super, super sad. And so I was holding all of that together. Like again, my best friend, my two best friends have, God, this is so emotional. They really held me up. They really held me up. I love them for that. They swooped in and held me up, helped me go through all of that. Just how different I had to be when I was alone, and then when he was around, it was like two different. My best friend was like, "You're like two different people when he's here and when he's not here." Um, and then just moving out, you know, packing me up. They both took me in. I like split my time between the two of them. Um, but yeah, like it was fucking devastating. And so, if I didn't have my two besties, I don't know what I would have done. And actually a whole community of people because it even extended to like people that I danced with. Um, I have a wonderful community in Port St. Lucie, Florida. So I love all those people, all of them, ladies and men that were just super loving and kind and would give me rides and made sure that I was still dancing and kept me going kept me going because then I had to transition from like being able to drive his vehicles because like, he was a well-off person and he let me drive his Jeep all the time. And so that was fun. And then I went to riding a bike. And so, I used to do like 100 miles a week on a bike. That was my life from July until I left to come to Connecticut. So from July until November, I was biking all the time and really trying to like pour myself into my business. And I was working for a farmer's market. Like I had to just completely do a 180 from what I thought my life was going to be. I had to accept a lot of things that were devastating for me. Um, and I think that this is a good time for me to share the third poem. This I wrote after he had the heart attack when I really was guided into holding space. And that's what the title of this poem is. Putting all expectations aside, deciding to fully and openly flow with love's ride, choosing to view my beloved through the heart's lens with grace. This is paramount for holding emotional space. The journey of loving another unconditionally includes having patience while accepting circumstances as they arise with tenderness and care intentionally, placing oneself into another's shoes, being exceptionally kind when they are experiencing the blues, mastering the self with intuitive grace and wisdom, moving mindfully love, as one soul, love dictates the rhythm, offering a safe and honest place to land. Come take my hand. My love, I see you, I feel you, and I understand. And I feel that I think the overriding not only was it like the long goodbye of our relationship, but watching this beautiful, absolutely beautiful dog who is way too young to pass get cancer and die. It fucking killed us. It fucking destroyed us. And I have her ashes, which is beautiful. I'm the only one that he created a necklace for me. And so I wear her around my neck and I talk to her all the time.
It seems as if though like this allowed for you to have a family again. Um,
Yes, that's
yes.
why this is so hard to talk about. Yeah, yeah, they're
Yeah.
my family.
And
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
I think
like, I think like the real truth, Marcus, is that like this is gonna be hard to say, but it's like I love my siblings so much, but we're so different. And it's very hard for them to understand me. And we've been through so much trauma together. And I just think that there's just been a lot that's been lost in translation. So I think that was why I always wanted to have my own family. And I did with my ex-husband. And I wanted that so badly, and then everything happened the way that it did because of the spiritual path. And I've been searching for that ever since. And so, to be clear, like for 13 years, I was living with other people, traveling here and there, living out of suitcases. It's just been really, really hard on me. Very, very hard on me. This nomadic lifestyle that I've had. I've had to adopt it. I've had to accept it and 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 go with it. So being able to unpack my things, because that was a huge part of it. And I'm glad you brought this up because the interim of me leaving the relationship before this, the 7-year one, I had to put my things in storage in Dallas. Um, because there was so like when I left Florida in 21, my intention was to move back to Dallas, and that got shot to hell. So I got stranded in Dallas, and that was when I called my sister. And my sister rescued me. She took me in her home for 2 years, almost 2 years. But I had to put all my things in storage. So my things were in a storage unit in Dallas for years, until I moved in with this gentleman, and he helped me get all those things. So I was able to finally, and some of these things had been packed up since my divorce. Like this is how much moving and grooving I have done. Certain things were in boxes ever since then. So I unpacked them into this home, and I felt at home. I feel like I could finally breathe. I had an office that I loved. I had a kitchen, like I had, a bed, I had my own things. Um, and it was quiet and lovely and peaceful. And then all of that had to end. And so, a year later, here again, I find myself like in bags and in suitcases and going here and going there. And like, it's really, really tough. It'd be tough on just anybody in general, but especially somebody who's as sensitive as I am and has autism. It's been a lot for
Yeah.
me. So on the outside, I may, and I do a really good job because my natural, like my baseline is happy go lucky, free spirit, optimism. And I do have a zest for life. But there also is a side that I certainly don't show people that I am showing on this podcast and talking about how fucking hard all of this has been and how devastating it's been to my heart.
I think a lot of times, unless this has been your life in some way, shape, or form, and for each person is different. Like for each person, it might be their spiritual journey might be providing the stability for a lot of people. And then you also have the people where, like, for you, it's more of the journey of spirituality, the gatherer of, spiritual experiences and self-evolution and self-awareness.
Well,
Um,
you were the one who said that to me. You're like, Maria, your journey is physical. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Because I came in here with so much awareness of a lot of things. And so for me, it really is, it's the worthiness, it's the physical part of it, it's the receiving. Like that's what I'm about to do now is
mhm.
receive what I've been working for all these 15 years. And let me tell you, y'all, it might sound like, oh, yay, it's terrifying to me. It's like
Mhm.
terrifying.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for it. And these are the things that you tell me all the time. You're like, Maria, you're ready. You've done, like I tell me, you've done the work. You've done the work. You're ready. You're ready. Like, come on. Like, it's time. It's your time. And I'm like, okay, I just don't even know what to do without the struggle of
Of pain, of
what's that?
pain, of suffering,
Yes,
there's pain of
yes,
suffering, of
because
disappointment.
I'm so good at it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've made it my master.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so
Yeah,
fucking good at it. I'm like, okay, what's next? Let's go. Like head on. All right, what's next? We're gonna face
it
this.
is.
All right, let's do it. Let's go through it. And to be clear, I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with the help of 1,000 guides and God Himself because I am a servant for God. This is how my life has had to move. So it may look to other people like, oh, everything always ends up working out for her. Oh, things just always magically come together. Yeah, they do because I'm doing the work, because I'm over here busting my ass to make it all happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times it's like,
Oh, I'm blowing my nose on the mic.
oh,
Sorry.
oh, that's cool.
There's
No,
so many tears. There's so many tears, my friends.
I think a lot of times, like, people don't understand that in order for you to have faith, you have to see the impossible.
You've got to be
And
tested. That faith comes with a test.
yeah, but I think also like people seeing you go through everything you've gone through and still things work out, it's like, oh, but that's impossible. How did this happen? How did that happen? And it's like, it is designed to reinstill your faith in God, and
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think,
Amen. Thank you. And these are things that I have to say this to the audience listening. This man is such an amazing person because to be a guide and to pull these things out for somebody who like me is so aware, but I need to be reminded of them. And you so exactly in like the right timing. You say these things and I'm like, oh my God. Like I forget. Yeah. I am an example of like, I'm like literally living like a living, moving prayer.
yeah, if people, because here's the thing, it's like if you don't, oh, it's impossible, or I don't have faith in God anymore, or I don't believe that things will happen. It's like, what you have to also keep in mind is that when you've tried and you fought and you cry and you bled everything you could in your own efforts, at a certain point you have to surrender to allowing God to give to you and for you to receive. Not everybody, and I'm a firm believer of this, of like, things happen when you're ready to appreciate them, because you
Absolutely.
understand. Yeah, you understand both sides of everything. You understand the ups and the downs. And
The
then
give and the
now
take,
you,
and the give and the take. And like it really is about, people who walk this path. Like I have a dear soul sister of mine who we have danced together our whole lives. So she knows me very well. And she took this path on as well at the same time I did during 2020. And I just like, when she reached out to me and told me, I just like laughed, right? Like, oh my God, we're both becoming shaman at the same time. This is amazing. And we recently reconnected after like almost 30 years. We hadn't seen each other since like high school. And those are the things that we talk about. Like you have to surrender. This is all about allowing and surrendering and moving in darkness. That is what shamans do. We see in the dark and
yeah,
we lean into the spirit, and I allow different spirits to share their stories with me that help me to weave together my own journey and my own experiences. But it's ancient wisdom. That's what I am here to bring back, is to honor the ancestors, to honor all of this ancient wisdom that has been locked within the earth. And yeah,
yeah,
it looks fucking nuts to the average person because I live an incredibly alternative life. But I was never meant
yeah,
to live a 9 to 5. I was never meant to be behind a desk at a computer doing
yeah,
a job. I'm not a normal person. I'm just not. And that's okay. I mean, it's taken me a long time to accept all of this about myself. Um, and truly love who I am. I'm sharing about all of these relationships that have shaped me, that have made me who I am. And I wouldn't change any of them, not for a second, even with all the heartache that came with them, because they've made me who I am. My ex-husband, the gentleman I talked about in episode 7, and then this beautiful soul that I'm talking about now in this one. He's an amazing person. He's a stellar human being, but we're not meant to be together. And that's okay. We had to
Yeah.
spend this time together. He prepared me so well, like so expertly. That's what I do a lot. I sit and I think, and then I'll text him and I'm like, oh my God, like I remember when you said like this, and this, and like you're so right. And he would just like send me like, he's very much an emoji person. So, he's a man of few words, but he'll like send me an emoji with like an eye roll or like a melting face. Because it's like, yeah, Maria, yeah, I told you. Um, but there's a lot of like endearment to that. He's a lot like my dad that way. A man of few words, but when they say something, listen, because there's a lot of wisdom there. And in a lot of ways, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. We both did. Like, so when this ended, I said to him, like, let's not forget who we are to each other. And let's just move through this like detachment with a lot of grace. And we did. He was super kind to me and helped me in the transition of like everything that had to happen. And we still remain friends to this day because that's what matters to me. Like he'll always be an important person in my life.
Is there any more poems?
There is. There's one last one.
Okay, good.
And this one is the culmination of letting not only him go, but letting the dogs go. Because that was an incredibly hard piece for me to do, to let go of the dogs and especially the final goodbye of Sasha. This is The River Carries Your Name. Our time together flows like a river, coursing through my veins. The memories linger, mustering the strength to let you go, for it is time for you to leave this well worn out show. Reconfiguring the language of my internal system, summoning my softness gives me the permission. The vulnerability inside, yes, that is what I need to say a heartfelt goodbye. For within my softness, I release. Receiving the wisdom in the wake of your absence gives us both peace. The peace I've prayed for is now the silence of those memories. Timelines dissolving without a trace of nostalgic familiarity. So instead of keeping a stiff upper lip, I choose to cry the tears my heart has held in for years, allowing myself to crumble into sadness, remembering all of the times you rescued me from madness, always standing by my side while I continuously dove headfirst into my shadows. Now is the time for your soul to be released. The love you gave me will live on long after you're deceased. And the quiet promise that only you and I share becomes the water blessing, the baptism of divine care. Two hearts sharing one soul. Your sacrifice will serve to help me reach my goal. Thank you, and thank you for your willingness to allow my half to rise. Never forgetting the love we once shared, though now it wears a different disguise. No longer bound by flesh and bone, but carried on the wings of the skies. I release my grip upon your paw, your hand, your presence near, trusting that love does not vanish simply because you are no longer here. The river continues onward, as all sacred waters do, carrying fragments of our story beneath a horizon painted new. There will be days I search for you in the corners of familiar space, catching glimpses of your spirit in a beam of sunlight or a remembered face. And when my heart grows heavy with longing for what has passed, I will listen to your whisper in the quiet moments of the day. For grief is love transforming, learning how to take a different form, a candle still burning brightly long after the passing of the storm. So journey onward, beloved soul, unburdened, wild, and free. Your footprints remain upon my heart, etched into eternity. Our chapter closes softly now, with gratitude instead of despair. For death cannot undo the bond of a love so deeply rare. And as I stand upon the shoreline, watching your spirit cross the sea, I bless your path with all my heart and carry the best of you within me. And I feel that that's what I've done. You know, one of the prayers that I used to say a lot, um, especially in terms of him, is like I just prayed for his peace. I pray that anybody who has dealt with the level of trauma, destruction, and chaos in this world and carries it with such grace and humility deserves peace within their life. And I feel like there was a lot of things that we stirred in one another for a reason, for a purpose. And it was beautiful, but it wasn't meant to last. And that's okay. I get it. And I'm very, very grateful. And these were some deep episodes talking about these three men, um, who I just will always have a lot of love and gratitude for. All of it. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything. Sharing your life with somebody is incredibly vulnerable, and relationships are messy. But you get to see a lot of yourself. You get to learn, you get to grow. Um, and for me, I've been able to move on to something that is completes me and is like totally meant for me. Um, and so the next episode we're going to talk about is what's happening right now, right this very moment. Episode 9 will be we'll just we'll let you guys know what's going on right now
Good.
between this awesome human and I. And I always say
Yeah.
I couldn't have done any of this without you. Because that's another part of this, you know. Marcus came into my life in March of 25 and he had all these plans for me and I was like, yeah, no. That's like um but you know, like you were the answer to my prayers in so many ways that I had to it took time to discover exactly what prayers you were answering and what your purpose was meant to be in my life. But you know, again, this is all very guided. It's all unfolding completely divinely. So it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm used to my life moving fast. It always has.
Do you want to do some light language?
I do.
I'll let you go first.
Ah, Teria, Teria. Tesiaria seria, aria kokreka shema, taya toko materia. Aria taroka sheta pai, siasa, sietoto oha, kapanya tato manshetia. Seria mase ke ete se kato oharga kashe pria pateti ka amakate ti ashoto shite atate toto osrika shatate. Fepe asakaria kutria kasheria katria kutria kaprik techi beta. Sikiriya kurika kashatariya pamprika kaliria kata akaria kutsute mati eke batu. Sishika ata frika akota she me niako numaka se ya. Rika hakata suta chapete saka. O fata rea matuka elia kota chite rapate sika mate se ya maru. Mate ya yo ma. Te she ya te ya ke. Ke ya te yo. Pralaya yetaya sheya heya o. Febaralia sata, febealia telea sata, stetea sosoto, kiria kaka, ayamate, shete ea yo. Meriasati afariatuta eke apata shitepa. Meta shite eka ata tepeshita uka ata mete. Yeste e ma ke a roka she reaka te a ka kayata me reata ya kokrekata. Yase kiriako ora ka she paya. Yase ke ata ya ato mate che ete ya tia 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 tia. Ete te ya. Oh.
Miyashaka sho mamayasha. Ilalashi mayaki amavo mayashe. Halasha mayato shadanashi kushe mayashe. Eremiyana kashayata shamayata shufe mayasha. Halashu vemayashe. Tioku fama mashatu kavamalashi. Tiyamasho vamayata kuvamayata yashuti mayake. Halalashi mayakwayakashan mayati. Therefore, Shemayate Kashe Maya, Ula Mave, Ayashe Kushe Mayashi, Inanakara Shamava, Uvemayashe Tayakashi Yamayashu, Alalashe Mava Mashu, Hayashuva Maye Nanashi Kushi Mayasha, Ayashu Fum Masha Tu Shiti Shete, Ala Kufa Matu Shita, Ala Shikishe Meratu Kavamayatu Imayaku Vamasha Ayashu Inayashe Vamuka Vamayashe.
Your light language always brings me such peace. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's one of, the many joys that you bring into my life because there's not many people I can speak light language with. And you and I communicate on such a deep level. And so I understand everything that you're saying. And I'm just, um, I'm really blown away. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that I know these episodes wasn't easy.
No.
But I know that people needed to hear, and the people that you mentioned needed to hear um, your side and your viewpoint, and have it where it's something that is um, the value of the relationship itself. Because sometimes, like,
Hello.
can you hear me?
I lost you. You said sometimes things get, and I just kind of thought to myself, like, things get lost in translation, which I actually have a poem that I wrote after this relationship ended. It's called Lost in Translation.
Wow. Yeah.
Should I, should I,
No.
should I, should I find it? Because it won't be hard to find. It's actually right here.
Yeah. 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 Why not?
I think we need to hear Lost in Translation because
Let's translation. Let's do that one.
it it very much embodies a lot of what I was feeling at the time of this this ending. Um, I always have a poem. It's how I process. It's how I process. Let's see where it is. I'm sure you can cut all this time out because I don't really want this. Here we go. Okay. Lost in Love's Translation. Now I know why I had to share this because this is the poem that I gave you this line the other day. A piece of me is dying, so the newest part of me can live. Somewhere in between the dreams and nightmares, I can feel the energy that your heart still gives. Anger swells inside as I continue to ask why it had to be that you took your love away from me, far away from me. This is not the behavior that any sort of friend would display. Tossing and turning in the irony of the love I now hear myself calling out into the lonely nights is yours. It's funny how the subconscious mind works while the heart beats on with intentional grace, still holding space for you. It's all I know to do, still loving you. The newest piece deserves a chance to grow. The dying part won't let go, but instead holds on out of fear, lacking the ability to connect to the wealth that lies waiting in the soul's fragmented elements, spending hours wrestling with sensitivities, sorrowful pain. The rejection I feel can only be deflected, projected. A projection from a life that is not mine. It never was. The attempts to show me kindness have been undone by your hollowed absence. And here I am, alone in the dark, faced with the sharp pain of expressions, rummaging around feelings displayed as art. Thunder and lightning outside my window threaten to steal my sleep, trying to hold on to anything outside of our once combined reflection is useless. Turn away I must. Ashes of burnt memories turned into dust, leaving my heart. Leaving my aching heart to rest. Yeah, I wrote that August 25th of 2025. That was around the time I think I also got that download about
Mm.
us in Egypt. But yeah, I mean, my poetry and the messages that I channel are incredibly healing for me, and it is definitely how I've processed my life in the last 8 years. So yeah, that poem definitely fit. I know you understand that because I literally said that to you the other day. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's what has been pushing me onwards, knowing that there is a piece of me dying. So the newest part of me can live. And I have such an awareness that I can feel all of that within me, things that need to go, that I just need to let go of in order for me to continue to evolve and become the person that I need to be, which is the person I am now. So there's been such a humongous metamorphosis in these 8 months. It's huge.
You want to close us out?
I do. Thank you for listening. Please stay tuned for more of my heart centered truths and the path of a celestial shaman. In light and in shadow, always with love. Namaste.
Peace, guys.